Here in Chandigarh, it's extremely hot. Right. So can I quickly know from some of you, how are you doing? Good and fine are not acceptable answers because most of us are doing good and fine all the time. Uh, can you really tell me how are you doing? Are you feeling a bit sleepy maybe, or yeah? See, Mohammed Ismail is being honest. It's cool in Bangalore. That's good to know. I've been to Bangalore. I've been to Chennai as well. I love Bangalore as a city. Uh, someone said challenging. Professor Manjunath said challenging, which is very interesting. I'll be perhaps touching on that in my presentation. Vijay says interesting. Interesting in what manner? Can you tell me a bit about that? Yeah, honesty is the best policy most of the times. Yes. Cool. Thank you for sharing. So how I'll structure this session is personality development, of course, is a huge topic. There have been books. There can be a year-long webinar on this. But I've been given this opportunity to cover it in 1 hour. What I would like all of us to do is I'll be taking you through some of the concepts, which according to me are important for a law student. What I'll request from all of you is ask questions as I'm going through the slides. Don't wait for the last 10 minutes or the last 15 minutes, please, to ask your questions. Because I'll try to cover a fair ground, I would want to be assured that we are on the same page, that either I'm not moving too fast or moving too slow. So is it okay with everyone asking questions as we go along? How many of you are ready to ask questions as we go along?
Sir, sorry for the interruption. Participants are not allowed to speak, sir. They can use chat box.
Sure. You feel free to use chat box. So if you're ready to ask questions on the chat box, you can say yes, so that I know some of you are at least willing to ask questions. Currently, I'm getting less number of yes responses. There are 200 of you here. Can I get some more yes responses, or otherwise we'll have to wait till the end? Okay, that's good to know. Cool. Also, it's going to be a bit unstructured, though I have a presentation and I've tried to structure it as much as I could, but it's going to be a bit unstructured. So that's why also to bring us back to the conversation, if you're getting, if I'm confusing you in any slide, just bring me back to the point or to the conversation. Okay. Cool. So I'll start sharing my screen. Please let me know when that's visible. This should be visible, right?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Cool, so I'll cover personality development and career growth. I'll try to do it in 1 hour since that's the time allotted. Okay. And again, once again, to everyone at Karnataka State Law University and at Saraswathi Law College, thanks a lot for having me. It was fun preparing for this presentation. A bit about me, though ma'am has already introduced me a bit, but just to tell you briefly about myself. So I graduated from NUTS Calcutta in 2013. I started Loctopus in 2010 while in college, and Loctopus Law School recently in 2019. I also did an MA course, a full-time MA course in Law, Politics and Society from Ambedkar University, Delhi. I've written this book called Law is a Career in 2015, which was published by LexisNexis. I've also been a TEDx speaker. It was a long struggle with public speaking. So some of you, also want a bit of public speaking in their skill set as a part of personality development. I'll be touching upon public speaking as well. Okay, I've never been a natural public speaker, but I've gotten used to it. So I'll cover a bit of that journey as well. Okay. I want to start by saying that I'll not be in personality development. I'll not be covering things like how do you dress up or what should your body language be. I'll not be focusing on the outer parts of it or the exterior parts of it. Because according to me, that's easy to do. All of that involves a bit of a quick fix. And in the long term, and the real game of personality development is the inner game. Okay. So some people can seem confident, but they are not confident. Right? They can put on a facade of being confident, but they are not really confident. I can give you a couple of examples since I'm guessing most of you are law students. I can give you an example from my college. When we started our first year, there were some students who were really fluent with English. They could debate very well, even in conversations in our hostel rooms or in classrooms. And it seemed to us then, because we were in first year, very young, just figuring out our ways in the world, we thought that they are very confident people and they'll do really well in college. And people like me, we were pretty underconfident after seeing them speak so clearly and cogently. But what I realized over the next 5 years is people who seemed a bit underconfident early on in their years of college, they did really well. Some people who were confident, seemed confident, did not do that well after the end of 5 years. Okay. Of course, there are exceptions, and of course, it's vice versa as well. But this is what I want to tell you is I'm not going to focus on the outer game. That is not my interest. My interest is more about the inner thing. Okay. And the inner thing comes from the larger philosophical question. Some of you might even leave this meeting after this. You might think this is getting a bit too philosophical, but it actually comes from knowing yourself, from introspection, from doing the work. Work could be a lot of things. It could be things like journaling, it could be meditation, it could be talking to your peers, it could be exploring your personality in college, it could be talking to your faculty, those sort of things. And the outer part, it contains things like clothes, it contains things like body language. But just to be clear, I'm not discounting the importance of presenting yourselves well, or let's say an open body language. But according to me, in the current times and spaces, a lot of importance, sometimes I think it's needless also, needless importance is given to the external things. Okay. So whenever you're working on your confidence, just try to sing. Are you trying to just seem confident, pretend or portray that you're confident, or are you really confident? Are you operating from a place of confidence? Okay. Seeming, as I've already told you, it could even mean things like accent, right? Sometimes we think because someone has a cool accent, or they have a American or a UK accent, they are really confident, or we tend to get overawed, especially when we are in college and we are young. But trust me, all of these things, they are not a function of confidence. A lot of times they're a function of privilege, right? Were you, let's say, did you study in an English medium school, or did you study in a vernacular medium school? Were your parents from a certain economic background, from a certain social background? Things like language, fluency of language, clothes, etc. They are a lot of times they're a matter of privilege, not confidence. I want you to make this distinction. At the same time, it does not mean that you don't focus on how you present yourself, okay? Or it does not mean that you do not work on, let's say, the English language skills, okay? Because these are also important. But again, the focus, our primary focus in this presentation, and my recommendation would be generally in life as well, should be more on the inner game. Okay. Now I'll relate knowing yourself because I want to relate personality development to career development and career growth as well. This is especially for students. Maybe some of the senior people here have already thought about these things. What can knowing yourself mean, and how I'll also come to this beautiful concept of ikigai, which I think some of you must have heard before, but that will be a bit afterwards, okay? Just a second. Yeah, so what can knowing yourself mean? Okay, what sort of questions am I hinting at when I say that you know yourself? Okay, it could mean things like, what are your strengths? As a person, as a law student, if you're a young lawyer, what are your strengths? Have you thought about them? Currently, I'm hiring for Loctopus, and sometimes I ask people, these are very cliched questions in an interview as well. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Sometimes I'm surprised that people have not thought this through. They've not thought this through in a deep manner. And if you have not thought this through, I think your journey towards personality development or towards having a good career, it might start on a shaky ground. Okay, so what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay, what are your interests? What are your skills? How can you serve people? How can you earn money? These are some of the questions. Of course, the sort of inquiries you can do can be multifarious. They can be deeper, wider, all of that. But these are good places to start. Okay. And this thing about self-inquiry, which will of course help you in personality development, also relates to this concept of ikigai, which nowadays is becoming popular. And I'll touch upon this. How many of you have heard of the concept ikigai in terms of career development, especially? Because I now want to relate, personality development to career development. How many of you, quick responses on the chat box, please? Yes, no, responses on the chat box. How many of you have heard of the concept of ikigai? Quick responses. So Pavitra has heard, Shobana has heard. What about other people? Okay, so Vijay, Manjula, yeah, a lot of you have not heard. Jyoti hasn't heard of it. Pallavi as well. Okay, there are some yes responses. I just want to see how many yes no responses we get. Yeah. Cool. So as I was saying in the previous slide, these are good questions to know yourself, and you start personality development by knowing yourself, right? Okay. And this concept of ikigai can really help you, which is related to your personality development as well, and then it flows to career development. It can really help you figure out what is it that you should be doing or you could be doing with your lives. Okay. Now, this is not to give you a formula. Okay, this is a framework. Frameworks are different from formulas. Formulas, they are very certain. Frameworks, they have an inbuilt level of subjectivity, which is good. Okay. And as I explain this concept, some of you can, if you have a diary or a notebook and a pen with you, you can perhaps work as I explain this a bit. What I would also request you, if this concept seems interesting to you, after the session, explore it further. I would like this session not to be the end of personality development exploration for you, but just the first step towards that. Okay, so let me explain this concept of ikigai. So ikigai means a reason for being, why you do what you do. Okay. And the fundamental point which this framework tries to make is that if you find something which is at the intersection of four things, the four things are what you love doing, which is your passion, what the world needs. Okay. There could be passions, there could be things which you love, which the world does not need. Okay. Then what can you be paid for? You might find things which you love, which the world needs, but they might not pay for it. Okay. And then what you are good at. Okay, because this means your skills, your interests, your abilities. Okay. So if you find something which is at the intersection of what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at, you find your ikigai, that's a good career, that could be a good career for you. Okay. And of course, this also means going deeper into your own personality, your own self, to understand, to figure out what do you love, what are you good at, etc., etc. Okay. Now, see, this has a lot of nuance to it, and it gets, the explanations can get very intriguing as well. So let's take these two circles for example. What you love and what the world needs. So if only these two circles, if there is something at the intersection of these two circles, then you would have your mission. Okay, it will not be your ikigai. You might not be getting paid for it. It can be a good mission. Okay. So for example, I love writing, and let's say the world needs writing, and I stop at that. Let's say I cannot be paid for it, and let's assume I'm not good at it. It will remain a mission. Okay. If you find something which is at the intersection of what the world needs and what you can be paid for, it will lead to your vocation, something which you can just be paid for and which the world needs, right? But at the intersection of all this is a beautiful match, which can lead to a good career. So, for example, let me give my example. So, I love seeing people grow. That has been there with me since childhood. I'm a bit of a cricket fan. I was very young then. I was perhaps 12 or 13. And there was a younger friend of mine. He was perhaps 7 or 8. And he could not bowl properly. Okay. He was bending his elbow as he was bowling. And I taught him bowling in a proper manner. And it gave me a sense of satisfaction, because he grew, and that is what I love. Okay. I'm good at writing. I love writing as well. So this circle is being met. Currently, I'm getting paid for doing that. Okay. For writing, developing content, developing websites. Okay. And is it something which the world needs? Yes. Law students, of course, need that sort of a platform. So I can say that, I have found my ikigai. Okay. And my request to you would be, if you want to take a screenshot of this, please do take a screenshot of this. Work on it. Today, we might not have the time for it, but do work on it in future. Okay. Also, I want to take some questions here. And I want to stop here because is this clear? Or is this making a bit of sense? Would you like to explore it further? And are there any questions on this? Any questions on the concept of ikigai? Before we move forward, I would like to take questions on this concept. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How many of you got what I said? Was I able to explain? You can give me a yes, no response. If it's a no, you can ask a question. Yeah. This is one of the method of SWOT analysis, maybe. Yeah, I think this goes a bit deeper also than SWOT. So I got around 10 yes responses. What about others? Did you get this concept? If the answer is no, can I take some questions? Yeah, please tell me something about profession. Yeah. So profession, as as you can see, is at this intersection, right? What you are good at and what you can be paid for. That's about it. It might not be something what you love. And then see, the idea also is then you'll as this says, right? You'll be feeling comfortable, but there will be a feeling of emptiness as well. Because perhaps it's not the world, it's not what the world needs. You're not serving the world in that manner. If it is just the intersection of what you're good at and what you can be paid for. Okay. Yes, Deepak has, Deepak, you've got it right. Deepak is saying this is a method of identifying the opportunity in yourself, what you're fit for. Yes. Yeah. Actually, see what you're good at, it will also lead to a feeling of satisfaction, but a feeling of uselessness because it's not what the world needs. Okay. Is it possible to explain in Kannada? I'm really sorry, I am not familiar with that language. So I'll not be able to explain. Okay. English is what I would be comfortable at. Yeah. This is a great question by Pavitrita. So she's asking, so theoretically it is easy to conceptualize Ikigai, but what about putting it to practice? That is an exceptional question. Thank you, Pavitrita. See, as I was explaining, you'll have to do a bit of self-inquiry first. So Pavitrita, it has to be perhaps, you can start theoretically as well. Theory is not bad. Okay. Let me give you another example. So as you perhaps know by now, I love cricket. Okay, I love playing cricket. I love watching cricket. Is cricket writing what the world needs? Okay, is cricket writing what the world needs? Writing about cricket. Let's say I'm writing about is Virat Kohli versus Kane Williamson. Let's say I do a data analysis on that. Would it be useful? Would some people be interested to read that? Would some people find it insightful? Quick responses. Do you think? Yeah, some people would, not everyone, of course, but more responses. Do you think people would find writing? Harsha says very little, but Harsha, there are websites on cricket writing, like Cricinfo or CrickBuzz. And people find their entertainment reading these articles. So there is some value there, right? So it is something I love. It is something which the world needs. Can I be paid for writing about cricket? I think yes, because again, as I said, there are platforms paying writers to write about cricket. Okay. And am I good at it? See, I'm good at writing. I'm not that good at cricket because I played only for my college. I did not go beyond that. But I'm okay at it. I understand a bit of nuances on cricket. Okay. So perhaps that could be that could make for a good career as well. Pavitrita, is it clear? Is it getting clearer at least? And others as well? Yes, no responses? Okay, so some of you are putting S. I just realized that S rhymes with yes, and I'm guessing S means yes. Good. I like the short forms. Satya Narayanana says, passion and mission missing in today's world. Do you agree? It's missing for some people maybe, but not for everyone, I guess. Okay, can we proceed now? Is this clear? Would you like to explore this forward? I hope so. Okay, let's proceed. Now, when you know yourself, and this is true especially in college, because we are very young here, we are exploring ourselves. It is very easy for us to compare ourselves with others. Okay, it happens all the time. It can happen on the basis of, let's say, who looks like how someone speaks. Are they more intelligent? Are they less intelligent? Are they good at this? Comparison happens all the time. Something which I want to mention is comparison is the thief of joy. Okay. And since I believe that in college this happens a lot, okay, I also want to touch upon this concept of jealousy because I think this can retard our development. Okay, if we don't take jealousy in a good way. Okay, first things first, we are jealous of our peers. We won't be jealous of the Queen of England, or we won't be jealous of, let's say, the President of India, or Virat Kohli, right, or Harish Salve. We'll not be jealous of them. We are jealous of our peers only. Peers as in people who are close to us, our neighbors, our batchmates, classmates, juniors, seniors, right? Which also means that if we are being jealous of someone, we believe that we can reach to their level. Okay? Right? Another thing which I want to point about, the good thing about jealousy is it points out to things which we secretly want. Okay, so if you're jealous of someone, I can give you my example. I am jealous of people whose articles get published in various newspapers, in the top newspapers, let's say the Hindu, the Indian Express. Some of them are my peers, and I get jealous. I'm like, I can't write as well, or hey, I have not got published in a big newspaper. Okay. It secretly points out to the things that I actually want, which is perhaps getting published in a newspaper. Okay. Some of you are drawing on my presentation. That's pretty cool. I like the drawings. Good art. Also, one thing which, so this is the first point I want to mention about jealousy. The second thing which I want to mention is, let's say you are jealous of someone, okay? And you see only the destination where you have reached, okay? Where the other person has reached, the person you're being jealous about, okay? You only see where they have reached, the position that they have attained. Then you will feel jealous, okay? But if you also get to know the journey which they have been a part of, their struggles, their successes, the hard work that they put, a combination of blood, sweat, tears, all of that, then in a lot of cases, you'll stop feeling jealous and you'll feel inspired by their journeys. Okay. So this is crucial in our journeys of knowing ourselves. As we know ourselves, we can start comparing ourselves with others. An element of jealousy can creep in. It can retard, as I said, sometimes our personality development. And these are a couple of things which I request you to keep in mind as we go about developing our personalities. Okay, cool. Now, I also want you to sort of think through this with me. After knowing yourself, let's say you've figured out, and of course, see, this is not an event, by the way, I want to mention this. Knowing yourself is not an event, it's a journey, it's a lifelong journey. Okay, it begins when a child starts to think, and it ends when life ends. Okay, so it's not an event, it's a journey. So after knowing yourself might be the wrong phrase, but in your journey of knowing yourself, in what context do you operate? Do you operate with the context that there is enough in the world, or do you operate in a context that I need to compete, I need to hoard, I need to take away things to get things? Do you believe in increasing the size of the pie, or do you believe in taking a slice of the pie, and when you take the slice of the pie, you are really, you want to hoard it, okay? Because trust me, if and when we are operating from a scarcity mindset, it's not a great mindset to operate from, okay? We become less generous. We become a bit revengeful as well. We don't appreciate the things which we already have, okay? So as you are on your journeys of exploring yourself, I would request you, suggest that you explore this mindset of abundance. You'll find enough literature on this. And a good way to do this is having a simple gratitude practice, which probably by the end of the day, you just write, in your diaries, or you try remembering, thinking about what you already have instead of what you want to get, right? Because it will make you present of the things which are going good in your life, in your careers. Okay? It's a useful practice to have. And why does it help? Because the negative things that are happening in our life, they have like 10 times the more charge and the importance than the positive things. Again, just to give you a small example, when I get book reviews on Amazon for my book, if they're positive comments, it's like, okay, that's good. Someone rated it 4, someone rated it 5. Yeah, thank you. But if someone rates it 2 or 1, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? How could someone read the book like that? I've seen it happening practically for me as well. That a negative comment can have 10 times the charge and the impact, right? And hence, remembering what we have, what is going good in our careers, in our lives, it keeps us in touch with the abundance mindset, that there's a lot of good happening in our lives. Okay, cool. Another thing which I want to tell you is about, okay, so let me first take some questions here. Let me stop sharing my screen also, because perhaps you would have gotten bored of the PPT. Cool. So is this clear? Is what I have said till now a bit clear, or are there any questions? If there are questions, please put it on the chat box. We can discuss a bit. If there are any comments as well, we can discuss it on the chat box. Okay. Shobna says yes. Yes, I've got to know from this presentation means yes. Okay. What about others? Any questions? Any thoughts also? There were a couple of thoughts that were shared. Yeah, Sneha had shared, when you're jealous, your whole energy is spent to defeat them. You'll not reach your dream destination. It's better to follow your passion, and rest will come along your way. Yeah. Any questions? How can we create positive energy? I really don't know. I mean, that's a very good question, very good inquiry to be in. But I think this gratitude practice, which I'm hinting at, could be useful for you, Varghese. Okay. Feel free to look up on these concepts on Google as well. Okay. Explore these concepts further. Cool. So we, guys, just to do a bit of a review as well. So we started with the inner and outer. We started with, what is seeming, what is being. We covered the concept of ikigai. We covered the concept of comparing yourself and jealousy. And then I explored a bit about the abundance mindset and the scarcity mindset. Okay. Now, I also want to tell you something which is very crucial, which is the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. Tell me one thing, do you believe your abilities can grow, or do you believe that they are fixed? Quick question. Are they fixed or can they grow? Shobna says can grow. Okay, so guys, I want quick responses. Grow. But some abilities are fixed, right? I mean, my height is 5'8". I cannot be an NBA star. I cannot ever play basketball. I can't even play at the college level. So that ability is fixed. The ability, let's say the athletic ability. Shobna says that's physical growth. Okay, good point. But what about athletic ability, or let's say mathematical ability, or the reasoning ability? Soumya says it can grow. What about others? What do others think? Are abilities fixed or can they grow? It's all how you think, okay? It's already fixed. We have to grow. Sridevi has brought a bit of nuance. Okay, right. Thank you for your comments. I just wanted you to be engaged in the conversation. Again, guys, a useful concept to explore further. People who believe in the growth mindset, and I'm so happy that most of you, actually perhaps all of you, believe in the growth mindset. They tend to be, again, not generalizing, they tend to be more successful. Okay. Fixed mindset is that intelligence is static. Growth mindset is that intelligence and abilities, they can be developed. Okay. See, this also relates to the concept of which we were discussing earlier of seeming and of actually being. Fixed mindset leads to a desire to look smart, to seem smart. This leads to a desire to learn, to actually learn for your own self. CV building, etc., is fine, but for your own self, that's how it starts. Okay. A person with a fixed mindset, what that person would do is they would avoid challenges instead of looking forward to them. In face of obstacles, they will give up easily instead of, let's say, persisting in the face of setbacks, which a person with a growth mindset would do. They see effort as fruitless and worse, or worse. Like, I am bad at maths. Why should I even be putting any effort? Because, hey, I'm just bad at maths. That's my fixed way of thinking about myself. People with a growth mindset, they see effort as a key element of mastery. If I work on that, I will gain mastery. Okay. If I work on my legal research skills, if I work on my contract drafting skills, if I read the judgments that have been assigned, it will lead me to be a master. Okay. Another crucial difference. Fixed mindset, they will ignore negative feedback. They'll become defensive. They'll start defending themselves. They're like, no. Here's my defense to it. People with a growth mindset, they will learn from criticism. They're curious about criticism. So whenever you get feedback, you don't need to apply fully. Let's say 10 people are saying 10 different things. You don't need to apply all those 10 things or agree with all of them. Right? But you can learn from it and you can be curious about it. Okay, why are people saying what they're saying? And you can try on some of the feedback. You can learn from it. Okay. Again, something which we were discussing about jealousy and when we were discussing jealousy, right? People with a fixed mindset, they feel threatened by the success of others. Because, hey, I am fixed. I can't be as good as them. And hence I feel threatened. While people with a growth mindset, they find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. As I was saying earlier as well. When you check someone's journey towards a destination, see the highs and lows that they have traversed through, you'll find inspiration. Okay. So I hope this is clear, fixed mindset and growth mindset. Feel free to explore it forward. I've given the source from which I borrowed this image from as well. Okay. Right. So we have discussed a couple of mindsets. I hope you explore them further as well. Okay. All right, let me continue with the presentation. Now, when you are working on your skills and your abilities, when you're operating from a growth mindset, there will be a zone which is called the stretch zone. Okay. Let me go to the image before that. Okay. So comfort zone is where learning does not happen. Very little learning happens in the comfort zone. It means I'm sort of okay with whatever that is there. Okay, not in an accepting manner, but okay in a in a non-energetic manner. Okay, there's little learning there. Okay. When you stretch yourself, so for example, let me give you the example of public speaking. Okay. So I've never been good at public speaking. I've always been good at writing. So right from my early age, I was good at writing. I was not good at public speaking. I could have remained in my comfort zone and been like, okay, so what? But through some luck and through perchance, I got to work on my public speaking. Okay, in sometimes school assemblies, I used to, let's say, give speeches in front of the school, and it has helped me. I'll also come to that journey. It has helped me become a better public speaker by being in that stretch zone. So whenever I'm doing public speaking, including this sort of a talk, I get a bit nervous. Okay, I'm getting stretched. My abilities, they are getting stretched. Okay, and that is where the learning will happen. Your stretch zone will become the comfort zone. Okay, red zone is panic. So let me give you an example of the red zone as well. And interestingly, it is about a TEDx talk I gave. I hope you know about TED Talks. This is TEDx talk which are privately organized, and they place you on a red circle as well. That's why I found it funny that it is in the red zone. TEDx talk for me is the pinnacle of public speaking, and of course sharing your insights and a lot of other things. And that was red zone for me. That was stress for me. I can still remember. Usually, what happens when I'm public speaking is my throat dries up. And my lips dry as well because I'm a bit nervous. It's a stretch zone. During the TEDx talk, it was in the red zone. My knees were shaking. I was in a panic mode and I was in a stress mode. Okay. So this was to explain you about a bit of journey about public speaking. In your personalities and in your careers, when you're working on anything that you're not confident or good about, here is what I would suggest you to do. And let's take the example of public speaking because I think it resonates with a lot of us. First thing about working on anything which you're not confident about or good at is you start with low risk settings. Low risk settings, as in if you want to learn public speaking, you start by speaking up in front of a group of friends. You suddenly don't go into a TEDx talk or you suddenly don't go into a big moot court competition. Low risk settings. Your friends are probably there to support you. It's a group of 5-6 people. There is no risk in talking there. It's a bit of a public because of course there are 5-6 people, but you start with that. Then in public speaking, you can start with, let's say, speaking in front of your class, raising your hand, asking questions, speaking in front of your class. Again, a low risk setting. You know those people, your faculty is there to support you, your batchmates are there to support you. And then you move on to the bigger things. Let's say presenting in a conference or in a workshop or doing a moot court competition. Okay. Of course, if you're not good at something, you'll have to be patient about it. You don't get results in a week, sometimes not even in a month. It's a lifelong journey. Be patient, operate from a place of patience. This is very crucial, which a lot of students miss out on, which is getting feedback. Again, if you're working on your public speaking skills, who is giving you feedback? Who is telling you the right things that you are doing and the things which need to be improved upon? So you should develop this sort of probably a peer group or this sort of a feedback loop where you're getting feedback from your peers, you're getting feedback from your faculty. And then after, let's say, the basic feedback is over, you start getting feedback on very specific things. Let me give you an example. In the case of public speaking, there is a wonderful organization called Toastmasters. How many of you have heard of Toastmasters? Quick responses. How many of you, I'll just post it here so that we can explore this organization. How many of you have heard about Toastmasters? Okay, Shweta has heard. What about others? And you can just say yes or no. Even no responses are fine. I'm glad that so many of you have heard actually. How many of you have not heard? Mohammed says S. Okay, a lot of you have heard of Toastmasters. Is there a club at KSLU or something? How many of you have not heard? Does KSLU have a Toastmasters club?
No, sir.
Okay, and students and faculty they can surely explore it. But this is good. Now let me come back to my presentation and tell you something. So feel free to explore Toastmasters. I was talking about deliberate practice and deliberate feedback after the general feedback. So when you join Toastmasters and if you're working on your public speaking skills there, they point out very tiny things also. So you give a 5-minute presentation and they'll point out the filler words that you are using. Sometimes when I use words like is a filler word or is a filler word, they'll point it out so that you can work on whatever skill you're working on in a very focused manner, in a deliberate manner. In the case of writing skills, it could be getting an editor to review your drafts and they can point out the spelling mistakes, the grammar mistakes, etc. Okay, so this is, again, just to repeat, if you're working on any skill, personality skill, career skill, you start with the lowest setting, you have patience, you get feedback, and you also work on very specific skills, the shorter skills of that bigger skill, okay, in a deliberate manner. Okay. So I've already explained this. Try being in the stretch zone, comfort zone and red zone should be avoided. Okay, though we have less time, it's already 2:90. I want to ask you a few questions now. So I've covered the broader bits. I've covered the mindsets and the broader things. I want to focus on the legal bit, and I'll move a bit fast on this. Okay. So personality development as a law student. First things first. Are you up to something in college? Are you a part? Let's say if you are interested in social work, are you part of the Legal Aid Society? Are you doing MOOCs? Are you doing publication? You don't need to do all of this. You can pick and choose whatever you are interested in. But are you up to something? Are you up to getting good grades? Are you a good sports person? All of that. Okay. Are you building or joining good peer circles? They could be reading clubs, writing clubs, etc., etc. Do you ask for feedback? I was recently taking a reference of one of the colleagues or team members I want to hire. And I was talking to her professor as a reference. And he asked me that this girl, throughout her college, whenever she used to get her assignments, she used to come to me and ask for feedback. Such a beautiful quality to have, right? So my question to you is, as a law student, do you ask for feedback from your friends, from your faculty? Do you have a sense of balance? A lot of us in colleges, we go in the play hard mode or the party hard mode, okay? We forget working hard. I think there should be a good sense of balance, okay? This point, do you chill for a few hours or entire years? This was told to me when I was working on that book by a senior general counsel. He told me, Tanuj, it is perfectly fine if students want to chill, in their college, but they should keep in mind: are they chilling entire years? Are they chilling away the entire 5th year, let's say, or the entire 3rd year? They're chilling throughout the, or do you chill for a few hours? Do you chill for, let's say, the weekend? One thing is fine, the other thing is not. Okay. Are you in the stretch zone? Sometimes what I think is a lot of students from all colleges, they start blaming their colleges. Are you blaming the college, or are you taking responsibility for your own careers as well? Some questions for all of you to ponder upon. Okay. So as I said, I want to quickly discuss, personalities as a law student and as a lawyer as well. if you are interested to work with law firms or with lawyers, they are largely interested in 3 A's. Okay. Ability, availability, and affability. Ability is, of course, your legal skills. Research, writing, drafting, contract, reviewing, drafting, etc., etc. The hard skills, which you can gain in college through internships, etc., etc. The next thing is also about availability, which is a gray area. So a lot of offices want you to be available most of the times, but at the same time, one must keep in mind that to have a healthy work-life balance. Okay. So yeah, you will have to think about your availability. Like, do you want to be available to that office after, let's say, 8 or 9 p.m.? Some of the offices, especially in the legal domain, unfortunately, want people to be available all the time. So a healthy balance has to be maintained. And the final point is of affability. Affability is as in, are you a people's person? It is not always just about the ability. Okay, the hard skills are a given. How good are you working with people? How good are you working with clients, with your team members? This is something which comes through practice. This is something which can be worked upon as well. It can be worked upon even while in college. If you are parts of committees or societies in college, etc., you're working there as a team on small projects. Let's say you are doing a moot court competition together. It depends. It develops your interpersonal skills. Okay. Finally, because I know that a lot of people are interested to work with law firms or with corporates, law firms usually have 4 types of people who make partners. Okay. One type of people are the finders. They find work. They're good with that. They're good with business development skills. Then there are minders. They mind the business. They are very good with administrative and managerial work. Okay. And as I speak on that, you can try seeing what some of the things you would be good at. And of course, sometimes people could be all-rounders. They could be good with all of this. Sometimes they might have a mix of 2 as well. Okay. Then there are grinders, people who do the work, are very good with the hard skills, right? As a lawyer, research, writing, drafting, etc., etc. And then there are binders who bind the people together. They are very good with interpersonal skills. Okay. Most people in law firms who make partners or who rise up the hierarchy in any organization, they are one of this: finders, minders, grinders, or binders. Okay. I wanted to touch upon this and this concept and these questions because I wanted to tell you what I think is important as a law student, as a lawyer, and further down your career, as partners, etc. Okay. So since we are running short of time as well, I wanted to give you a quick summary of this, cover some of the points that we have discussed, because I know I covered a lot of points. If it has been too many points, I'm sorry about that. But I also hope that you explore these concepts further. Okay, one was about the inner and the outer, being and seeming. Outer is fine, it is a bit important, but the focus should be on the inner. Okay. We discussed ikigai. Then we discussed comparison and jealousy, which can happen a lot, especially when we are young. Then we discussed a couple of mindsets: abundance mindset and the scarcity mindset, and growth mindset and the fixed mindset. I explained the concept of these zones as we are developing our personalities and skills, which zone which you want to remain in. And then we discussed some personality traits or some ways to think about being a law student, being a lawyer, and success at the workplace. Okay. So that is all that I wanted to share. There are some questions, so this is really, some questions are really good. So Sneha is asking how to handle criticism as it acts like a catalyst to trigger to do positive things as well as weakens the mind. Yeah. So Sneha, criticism can affect anyone, right? It affects me as well. It affects everyone. And it is perfectly okay if criticism is affecting you. But you are also telling me that perhaps sometimes for you, it is acting like a catalyst to do positive things. So that's great. Just be on that journey. Okay. One cannot remain aloof. One cannot create a wall against criticism. Okay. All right. Yeah, Raghavendra was asking what are binders, sir? So binders are people who bring people together. You know, they bind the team together. They are very good with interpersonal skills. Um, okay. And Raghavendra, again, feel free to explore this through some detailed literature on the subject. So just Google search finders, minders, grinders, and binders, and you will see very good literature around. This is on, organizational behavior, uh, even around law firms. You'll find some good. All right, very good question by Sachin. Sachin is asking, some seniors try to demotivate law students. One among them told us, it is not easy for little plants to grow under people trees. How can we overcome these issues? I think such comments are, it's fine to ignore them, Sachin. You just completely ignore that person. Why even consider such a point, right? I mean, you're not trees, you are human beings. As I said, uh, if you operate from a growth mindset, see, of course, some abilities are given. As I said, I cannot be an NBA player ever in my life. Okay, even if I work hard 14 hours a day, but there are lots of things which you can work upon. Okay, and I completely get it. It can be demotivating, but I also know that you can come over that little demotivation that you face. Okay. How can I make myself stand out against competitors? So Mohammed, this is a very long sort of a conversation which we could have. First thing which I want to tell you is you really don't need to stand out or be an against your competitors. Okay. But of course, the sort of profession we are in and the sort of world we are in, the industry we are in, we sometimes need to stand out. There could be n number of things, Mohammed. Again, I don't want to advertise, but you can read my book, Law as a Career. It would give you a lot of inputs on, how perhaps you could stand out. Okay. How do you remember case laws? So Narsimha, when I was a student, I was not good at remembering case laws. Let me be frank. Okay, but if you are interested, Narsimha, are you there? What I would request is read Tony Buzan's memory book. I'm putting it out on the chat box. Feel free to read it. Okay. Your suggestion for a good, so Shubhna was also interested in this. Okay. Bhavna says, is it necessary to be in stretch zones to achieve or reach a goal? Not always, Bhavna. So don't take any of what I've said as a rule. These are just guidelines or frameworks. Okay. Sometimes other things might work for other people. Okay. So Narsimha and Shobna, I hope this book gives you. Tejaswini says, how did you come up with the name Loctopus? That is a topic for another maybe webinar, when I discuss, let's say, Loctopus and the entrepreneurial journey. I'm sorry, Tejaswini, I'll not be able to take your question in this session. Okay. Yeah, sure. So that is about it from my side. Once again, thank you to everyone, to the esteemed members at KSLU for giving me an opportunity, and to all the students who engaged with this conversation. Thank you for engaging. I hope you take some of these concepts forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your address will help a lot for students' career. Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with your fabulous presentation. We will go ahead. Uh, Now I would like to call Srimati Archana K, Assistant Professor and Coordinator of the workshop, Karnataka State Law University, Hubballi, to deliver vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon to all. We reached the concluding part of the workshop. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all of you. First of all, I, on behalf of my own self and on behalf of Karnataka State Law University, I thank Professor P. Ishwar Bhatt, Honorable Vice Chancellor, KSLU, and Shri Venkatesh Naik, the Principal Secretary, Law Department, Government of Karnataka, for accepting our invitation and sparing their valuable time to grace the occasion and inaugurating the function, that is workshop. And after inaugural session, we had the plenary sessions. In the first session, that session was on study opportunities abroad by Professor Sairam Bhatt, Professor of NLSIU Bangalore. In this session, Professor Sairam Bhatt explored post-graduation study opportunities abroad, and he discussed the benefits of pursuing master's degree course in law from foreign universities. He had also threw light on the financial requirements, scholarship facilities in a very convincing manner. I extend my heartfelt thanks on my own behalf and on behalf of KSLU, and also on behalf of Saraswathi Law College, Chitradurga, to Professor Sairam Bhatt for such a wonderful and informative session. The second plenary session was about career opportunities available for law students. Resource person was Madam Sheila Advishai, founder of Lex Education Academy of Bengaluru. Being a person expertised in guiding the people who are preparing for judicial exams, the resource person was well qualified to discuss about this topic, and she threw light on the prerequisites to become professionals like a judge or a judge advocate general, prosecutor, etc. This session was also a very informative session, especially for the final year students who have not yet decided the path they have to select and they have to move on. I thank Madam Sheila Advishai on my own behalf and on behalf of KSLU and Saraswathi Law College, Chitradurga. The third and last plenary session was on the personality development skills by Sri Tanuj Kalia, CEO of Loctopus Bengaluru. Kalia sir, you have explained the concepts like Ikigai, comparing and jealousy in the profession very well, and along with that other positive qualities. Also, you have made it that you have presented it in a very convincing manner. It is not only useful for our law students, but also for all of us. Because especially now that in the post-pandemic lockdown scenario, that your personality development skills, it will be a guiding lamp for many of us who are suffering from that post-pandemic depressive attitudes and all. So I express my heartiest thanks. It is not only my behalf, it is on behalf of KSLU and Saraswathi Law College, Chitradurga, for sharing such skills, that is sharing your knowledge and making it a wonderful day. Thank you, sir. At the as you know, this is the first career guidance program sponsored by the Karnataka State Law University for this year. And in this program, we received an overwhelming response to the workshop. There were more than 600 participants for this program. And I thank all the principals and staff members of the affiliated law colleges of Karnataka State Law University for taking a keen interest, and the principals and staff members have also participated in this workshop, and at the same time they helped us to disseminate the information about the workshop, and they made their students to take part in their workshop so that they can take the benefits of this workshop. I hope all the participants of these affiliated law colleges are greatly benefited by listening to our resource persons of today. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight, and it requires meticulous planning and execution and an eye for detail. It is not possible for me to express my gratitude for the people who supported this workshop and worked beyond their comfort zone. First of all, I have to thank Professor G.B. Patil, who is the person who is who created the idea of that organizing this career guidance workshop. He gave us the opportunity to organize this workshop in Chitradurga, and that is in Saraswathi Law College. And he advised us, and he was he had given support in each and every step. I have to thank Professor G.B. Patil sir for his support and guidance for conducting this event. At the same time, it was not possible for me to imagine such a wonderful workshop, that is to with such a great resource persons, and all the tasks are done by Chitradurga Saraswathi Law College, be it Madam Sudha Devi or Dr. N.D. Gowda sir. They have taken keen interest. They have identified the scholars, that is as resource persons, to speak on these topics which are beneficial for the law students. And I have to thank, and this is, I think it is my duty to thank them, and without them it was not possible to have such a wonderful and successful event. I have to thank one more person, Sri I.B. Biradar from my university, Assistant Professor of History. He had worked hard to create that registration links and at the same time feedback links, and he is also behind the screen that giving all technical support for this event. I thank I.B. Biradar sir for his technical assistance. From morning till now, Srimati Harsha SM, Assistant Professor of Saraswathi Law College, she did that Master of Ceremony, not only for the inaugural session, even for the plenary sessions. She compared the program very well and more efficiently. It is not possible to imagine that comparing more efficiently than Harsha Madam. I thank you, Madam. Finally, I would like to thank all our participants of this event. It is you, that is you, the students, who made this event meaningful and memorable. Thank you one and all.
Just a reminder for the participants, we will be providing e-certificate. For that, all you have to do is fill a feedback form in the given link. Thank you one and all. We appreciate your presence. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Signing out, Harsha.